I really wasn't going to do a hangout today, but I came across this, I know it's Wikipedia, but an article on religion because the word gets thrown around a lot, and I am trying to share my screen, but it's not working anymore. Suddenly, since yesterday, doesn't seem to want to share any screens at all from my computer. I guess something got updated, and now it doesn't work. So you'll just have to use your imagination and go to Wikipedia and look up their article on religion. But what it says is that it's any cultural system of designated behaviors and practices, worldviews, texts, sacred places, ethics, or organizations that relate humanity to the supernatural or transcendental. Religions relate humanity to what anthropologists have referred to as a cosmic order of existence. However, there is no scholarly consensus over what precisely constitutes a religion. Different religions may or may not contain various elements ranging from the divine sacred things, faith, supernatural being or beings, some sort of ultimacy or transcendence that will provide norms and power for the rest of life. Religious practices may include rituals, sermons, sacrifices, festivals, feasts, trances, initiations, funerary services, matrimonial services, meditation, prayer, music, art, dance, public service, or other aspects of human culture. Religions have sacred histories and narratives which may be preserved in sacred scriptures and symbols and holy places that aim mostly to give meaning to life. Religions may contain symbolic stories, which are sometimes said by followers to be true, and have a side purpose of explaining the origin of life, the universe, and other things. Traditionally, faith, in addition to reason, has been considered a source of religious beliefs. There are an estimated 10,000 distinct religions worldwide, but about 84% of the world's population is affiliated with one of the five largest: Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, or some form of folk religion. The study of religion encompasses a wide variety of academic disciplines, including theology, comparative religion, and social scientific studies. Theories of religion offer various explanations for the origins and workings of religion. With the onset of modernization and the scientific revolution in the Western world, some aspects of religion have cumulatively been criticized. The religiously unaffiliated demographic includes those who do not identify with any particular religion, and it includes atheists and agnostics as the unaffiliated group. While the religiously unaffiliated have grown globally, many of the religiously unaffiliated still have various religious beliefs. So, and then you skip down through past their outline, and it gives you the etymology of the word, and they can only trace it so far, but it usually in antiquity meant something to do with order or society. And there were no really distinct words for religion from society. There was no separation of church and state until fairly late, usually about the medieval period, and especially in the Western world. Eastern cultures tend not to separate their religion from their culture, and that this is kind of more of an abstraction that happens in the West than is so in the East or in ancient times. So if you can go through and read all of that, and it usually had to do with binding people to a certain moral code or behavior, whether it was called moral or not, but it was a code of how people got along with each other, and it had really, as I said, no separate word between a faith and a practice when it came to all of society. This is why today, especially we in the Western world, have a difficult time understanding people who cannot separate, for example, Christianity from the nation of America or some other Western nation, but it seems to be particularly American. People equate the United States with a Christian nation, which is completely untrue, because the morals or lack thereof of our country and the Western world in general are certainly not Christian in any way, although there was a lot of Christian influence in the United States for a long time. There used to be in Europe, especially Britain, and those faded a long time ago. They mock us for being religious and moral, while their own society has fallen apart faster. We're just a few steps behind them. So what this article, if anything, is saying is that religion as a separation from society only happened really in about the 17th century, despite the fact of that ancient texts did not have a word really separate, because, like I said, they had the concept that these were one and the same. You behaved because you had a certain agreed upon set of beliefs that governed all behavior, and this was not something you separated out as a separate, as a distinct belief that had nothing to do with your society. They were always integrated. And so when people say they want to separate religion from society in some way, or from a conspiracy group, or whatever it is when they want to do, they say, want to get rid of religion. What they're really saying is we want to ignore everything and everyone outside of our group and make naturalism or some kind of dry, non-human existence of a morality imposed by the group and somehow not call it religion. It's a disingenuous and ignorant statement when people say get religion out of something. Okay, it just ignores everything. Of course, some people just throw away all of history to solve the problem, and it solves no problem at all. It's just a decision to bury your head in the sand about anything that happened in the past because you don't want to believe it's true for whatever reason. But the point of the article is, and I guess you can, I don't need to post a link. I just, you just go to Wikipedia and look up the definition of religion. You'll find the article. But it wasn't until, they say, the 19th century that the terms Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, or Taoism, and Confucianism and world religions first emerged, that people didn't really talk about it that much as a separate thing. It says, throughout its long history, Japan had no concept of religion, since there was no corresponding Japanese word nor anything close to its meaning. But when American warships appeared off the coast of Japan in 1853 and forced the Japanese government to sign treaties demanding, among other things, freedom of religion, the country had to contend with this Western idea. 1853, not World War II or something. According to some, the English word religion was used only to mean reverence for God or the gods, carefully pondering of divine things, and doing due diligence, that is to say, having some sort of moral code. That was religion. So when it comes to an actual definition of the word, all it says is scholars have failed to agree on a definition of religion. There are, however, two general definition systems, the sociological functional and the phenomenological philosophical. So whether you go only by social norms or whether you go only by philosophy or phenomena that you're trying to explain, and most people go by both, it is something you cannot separate from human experience, because everybody does it. Everybody has some kind of faith. Everybody has some kind of moral code. Well, most people, some people don't seem to have any sense of that. They're called sociopaths. But everybody who is not self-identifying as a sociopath has a religious view of some sort. Even atheists do. They have moral codes. They are some that have very high moral codes, in spite of the fact that atheism really has no explanation or justification for such a moral code. It's all, if it's all blind chance and evolution and naturalism, then nothing really matters. Even if you cause the extinction of your species, so what? You just die and you're gone and nothing happens. It's, even if you were to, as some like to think, eradicate all of human life and let nature go back to the way it was, nature still kills its own self. And so what? If you're an atheist and you have no higher authority over mankind, then who's to say it's wrong to kill or torture or otherwise eradicate the earth or ruin the earth and all it contains? There's no atheistic justification for those sorts of ideas and moral codes. But the point is, the only point I really wanted to make today is that when people say take religion out of it, they're speaking in utter ignorance of all of human history and even current experience and usage of what religion is. They're saying that they are amoral, that there's nothing right or wrong, and then these same people hypocritically go around telling Christians especially that they're wrong. This is inconsistent. This is hypocritical to say that you want to get rid of religion and then say that there's some sort of concept as right and wrong. So this is just something I real short I wanted to do to refer to when people say, let's get religion out of it. Everybody has religion of some sort. It's just that not all religion has to do necessarily with a deity, which is an artificial, very late coming folk definition that people have just come to assume is true, that religion only means worshiping a deity, and increasingly the meaning is becoming even more narrow to mean Christianity only, because they will accept any other religious belief. They'll accept any Native American belief, any indigenous person belief, any Norse belief, Hinduism, astrotheology, which is the theology means the study of God, and they connect it to the stars as gods. There's even people who call themselves stars as gods. That is religion. And people say, well, we can explain how the world works scientifically, therefore it's not religion. No, that's just stupid. That's bad logic. And that's denial. Everybody's got religion. It's just that what they mean by it now is let's get rid of Christianity only. And I've said this before, but here, again, I refer to Wiki because it is secular, because it is certainly not predisposed to promote anything Christian or conservative. And so it's not biased in favor of anything I'm looking for to find. I look for antagonistic articles to see if they make any good points that I need to look for a counter argument for. That's how I do things. And yet, because I'm Christian, somehow there must be something wrong with my ability to be objective. But I think the reverse is true most of the time. The people who have the most hatred of anything Christian or biblical are the ones who are the most narrow-minded and unwilling to step outside of their boxes. They think if they did it once that they've somehow arrived at some new enlightenment, just the way people have ignored the phrase from the frying pan to the fire when as soon as they change their opinion, like away from Christianity especially, they think that they've taken a step up, but in fact, all they've done is change their mind, which could be a step up or down or sideways. It doesn't mean anything as far as quote unquote progress goes. But at any rate, yes, you will find also the word translated religion in the Bible, in the New Testament especially, but it can be taken other ways as simply the law or a law of behavior. And in the end, what it means is you cannot take religion out of the human experience unless, like I said, you want to be a sociopath or psychopath. This is just the way it is, and people don't like real research on word meanings. They want it to be whatever they want it to be, which, as I said, it means when they use the word religion, it's a code word for Christianity in the Bible and anybody who defends it rather than attacks it. Because after all, if they grew up in it, then somehow they know everything there is to know about it, when these same people will turn around and say the Christians who are still in it don't know it as well as they do, and they claim to know it just because they were in it. So here again, we have this blatant hypocrisy on the part of anti-Christians who think that by getting rid of the general term religion from society that somehow they're going to solve the Christian problem. And this is just ignorant and illogical. So you can go and read the article yourself, and at least Wiki, unlike a lot of other people, mentions other religions besides Christianity. So it'll be a good one for critics to look at, but that's really all I had to say today. Had kind of a late day yesterday, did 2 different hangouts for a total of, I think, close to 8 hours. So like I said, I really didn't intend to do one today, but I just thought, you know what, we need to clear up this issue of what religion is. So here's a title you can just quickly get a link to whenever anybody says, let's get religion out of it, whatever it is. And there you go. Catch all 3 of you later.